And we're live. Welcome to the Will Studios. Once again, I'm here. I am going to continue suffering through Rebel Moon. I had given up partway through number 2 when they were having their little, their Hobbit ceremony. And, Girl Next Door is having her moment. But, man, I saw a post earlier. Zach Snyder is getting his own cartoon now on Netflix. And it's going to be about Norse gods, Norse mythology. And if this channel just becomes about hating Zack Snyder, so be it. You know, I'll watch it. I'll give an honest opinion. Rebel Moon is a chore. And once again, I'm like, these people, these innocent farmers, they knew that they lived in a world where, that interacted with other hostile nations, and what did they do? They harvested their crops, and they had orgies or whatever. But I'm watching it, and they got, they got orc Cleons, roaming around, setting up little, things. How do you not have some sort of defense? You gotta go off and get a ragtag group of somebodies. And that kind of brings me to this. If your idea focuses on a group of people from different backgrounds coming together to defeat an enemy, just stop, because you're not gonna do a good job. It's just no one's gonna give a shit about your characters. These guys, I guess the black guy who was a former general, the Maximus character. He's loosening up. He's not uptight anymore or whatever. Let's hear their plan. I'm going to wait till he's finished explaining all this, because I've been wondering, how do you defend against space Nazis with kind of not even modern day weaponry? I want to be on final inks pretty much with these pages. And I'm almost to the action scenes. And once I get there, it's just going to be cruising, I feel like. Because we're already at the point where Silver has taken the bus up into the air. Jesus, I gotta turn this down. We've turned your harvesting tools into weapons. We're gonna teach you how to cut the straw man's head off And you'll be able to cut off a soldier's head, too. As long as he doesn't, shoot you in the face with his gun. But I saw this ad for Zack Snyder's going to get this cartoon, and Thor's in it, and Loki, or all the Norse gods. I'm trying to remember anything about it, because there are certain genres that I don't think I'm going to touch. And one of them is anything to do with Thor and Loki. Anything to do with, like, an established pantheon of gods. I just think it's been done to death. And it's one of the reasons I stopped working on Dark Steel. Even though Dark Steel is badass, I feel like Dark Steel has a ton of potential. But the pages for release have been coming together, which is nice. What did this orc see? The orcs found out. Wait, is that orc wearing a fucking... He's got cuffs on his sleeves like he's a sophisticated orc? Right. Listen, we may look like monsters, but we're actually fucking whatever kind of British that is. Welsh? I don't know. Is Zack Snyder? Zack Snyder's from California, isn't he? Isn't he American? But, like, originally he was from California? Alright. So, the robot that spent the first episode of this becoming, like, having feelings and stuff because he saw that girl next door character and was like, you remind me of the good version of our Nazi religion. And so now he's been living rough out in the woods, and he put on a crown that's like antlers, and now he's taken out the orcs. And the orcs were like, they got a drop ship. They got, they're doing this. Is there gonna be a third Rebel Moon? We'll see, I guess. I feel like if I rewrote Rebel Moon, I could do it in one. Like, if I'm doing a Will's cut and they're going to give me 4 hours to work with, I could tell 1 and 2 in one movie. And I would just have a plot device to bring those people together around that planet. Like, okay, you plot your solar system. Let's do this real quick. Let's take a break from release. Even though I love this page and I love the way it's coming together, although I think her head should be tilted upwards a little bit more because she looks like she's looking off in this direction, which is no good. But here, this was my 13-month-old's drawing, so I'll keep that for posterity. But okay, so you want to bring you got this robot and he's like your avenging angel or whatever. He's he says that seeing an innocent blonde girl get bullied made him decide that it made him, the robot, have a religious epiphany about this girl. And now he is part of the resistance. He's the member of the group that they didn't expect, but who will be somehow a definitive part of their success. Alright, so we got him, okay? We got lightsaber lady, right? I'm gonna give her a little like symbol, right? We have stupid fucking. We have the Beastmaster, right? Who was just perpetually shirtless. Or he might have had a shirt on just now. I think he had a shirt on while they were dancing or whatever. But his natural state is obviously without a shirt. Right? So, we have the Beastmaster. Then you have the Black Maximus, right? Just draw him like a shield and sword here real quick so we can keep moving. this along. Anyway, who else did they go and get? It's been like a week, and the first movie was so forgettable. Because the Child of Fire, right, watched the dude from House of Cards, but the Amish leader of the people, get his head bashed in. And then she went and she had the dude with her. And they ran into the dude that betrayed him, so he's not part of the group. But they picked up this dude, this lady. I feel like I'm missing somebody. Anyway, you need them all to show up outside of the innocent grain planet where the Child of Fire lives, and she escaped those evil space Nazis led by this Mandark looking dude, right? And he likes to have a interdimensional, like, sucky octopus suck on him in his spare time while he does opiates. Is she shaving her head? Why? What's the point of shaving your head? You gotta keep your head cool, I guess. Or is it just she's gotta get in that mindset? Is this she's gotta have her G.I. Jane moment? I know I'm not allowed to show any of this. I'm not trying to get this stream struck. But anyway, alright. So, since we have the freedom to design our system, right? We can have an existing sort of military alliance exist, okay? Where this planet over here imports grain from the grain planet, okay? And they protect the grain planet. And they are involved with this war with the Nazis and stuff. And so, because the Nazis are winning, their resources get depleted, right? And that's when the Nazis move in and take over that planet, okay? And so the Nazis take over that planet. Then it's like, okay, we know they're on their way. We can tell the story, her story, in that time, right? And we can have our little orgy scene after the harvest. This scene, because in the extended edition, they did have a scene where the Nazis came in and took out some peaceful monks. Gotta find my water. But the monks didn't seem to be a civilization that really put very much into defense themselves, right? And I don't know if they really gave any context to the greater Star War that was going on. Okay? So, anyway, on this planet, we could have the Beastmaster there as part of, like, the gladiator spectacle that's happening, and that brings him there. And then Spider Lady, the way they introduce Spider Lady, and I call her Spider Lady because she defeats a literal Spider Lady as her introduction. She defeats it. Sorry, they're freaking... Mandark is showing up now. Since I'm watching part 2 now. Mandark is talking to the Child of Fire. And he's like, see, you fucking killed me at the end of the last movie, but now I'm alive. And you probably, you know, thought you'd won. See, everything they're saying right now, it's just so dumb. I'm gonna pause it. Cause freaking... I wonder if I can share just like a screenshot. Like, if it's not moving. Can you see it? So, without hitting play, they're just sitting there talking, right? And the Child of Fire has this freshly shaved head, and Mandark is like, hey, you freaking put the grain out, so we're gonna have to kill the grain as well as the people, so I guess we're not gonna just bombard you because we want the grain or whatever. Why are you doing this? Why aren't you just like giving in? And she's standing defiantly, but she's like, if you want a seat in the Senate, if a Senate seat is what you want, why don't you just take the grain and leave, and just don't even try to fight us or anything. Just like get lost. And he's like, it's like, dude, you have rows of people with guns. And I don't think they do. So anyway, let me get rid of that. It's so tiresome. Is it working? So anyway, I'll keep working. But anyway, if I'm writing this thing, okay, the Nazis move in and take over this planet. We make this planet more civilized, more commercial, more defensive, like it puts up a bit of a fight, and they have actual soldiers and not just like dance fighters going up against these space Nazis. What's crazy is the officers dress like Nazis, and then the foot soldiers dress like they're Game of Thrones extras or something, or like House of the Dragon. More like the Lord of the Rings show, the Rings of Power, because those it's just literally like chest plate. Because they're emulating stormtroopers, but they're trying to make it look more like armor. Like a mix between modern SWAT gear and medieval armor. And so it looks like just such a mishmash. They're wearing like what looks like winter clothing. You couldn't give them warm weather outfits, your foot soldiers, Zach Snyder. Freaking ridiculous. But anywho, in my version of the Rebel Moon, okay, um, we bring all those guys to the planet, and then they have to mount some sort of defense against the Admiral, who is like on his way, right? So maybe the Admiral was part of the invasion, but didn't have anything to do with this moon planet, right? Like the Admiral would spend most of the movie over on that planet. And then we could build him up separately. Oh no, the tooth so there was a portrait of the girl from the story, the girl that the Child of Fire killed, and the teeth were getting plugged in around it, and it just got blown up by their booby trap. Because the freaking farmers got a hold of some weapons. Alright, we got 1 hour left in this thing. So, yeah, there can be some sort of gladiator arena event that brings these two guys together. She hears about what happened and knows that Mandark is over on that planet and has decided to go there and maybe try to sabotage something, and so that they could maybe retake the planet. Okay? And so, man, I could throw a plot together for a good Rebel Moon. And I wouldn't take absolutely forever to tell shit, because I'm not going to waste time beating in the skulls of innocent monks. You know, we can just talk about that. That can literally be a line. Like, somebody can talk about something that he saw, and then we don't have to spend 20 minutes on it. And so much resources. Like, how Zack Snyder just eats up the budget. I guess it's a challenge to find ways to make alien militaries like seem more alien, because they are very human with like their communications and stuff, everything about it. Like, they might as well be Black Hawk helicopter guys. They gave them like shields, face shields that they can't see out of, though, which is interesting choice. Dude just threw a grenade. How far was that throw? Because he just took out this thing. I guess it's not that far. It seemed like really far. Alright, let's get back to work on release. Just gonna pause Rebel Moon. I've been sort of jumping around between pages from page, because I did the first 5 pages where I was trying to figure stuff out. I shaded it a certain way. And then from then on, page 6 to now we're on page like 13 of this current run. I feel like I'm really kind of figuring stuff out, and I'm going to have to go back and redo these other ones for sure. But I like the way they're turning out. I'm getting to a point where I feel like I'm more comfortable. Maybe I should turn on. Oh, let's push play. Because I can't be not talking about things. It's so sad watching this movie, and the spider lady is the one with the glowing swords, right? And the glowing swords are obviously, very obviously, the coolest weapon. And she's relegated to, like, fringe side character battle, where she's got glowing swords, and these other random soldier guys have glowing swords. And so then they just start swinging their swords at one another. And, like, I missed the part, I guess, where the swords somehow made her invincible to the laser bolts. Because she's not, like, I didn't see her blocking any of them or anything. So a lot of this is those like World War II-ish action sequences. She's jumping on this space helicopter, and Mandark is on another space helicopter having a knife fight with this dude, one of the Amish guys, who's just getting his ass kicked. He was the guy that couldn't satisfy her sexually in the beginning of the first movie. In the extended edition, they showed her coming out and like scooping it out. But I guess they didn't. How could we do something more menacing with Mandark's character, though? And I know he has a name. I forget it. I honestly do. But I guess they didn't want to give him any sort of interesting scars, or I mean, they gave him like the chest scars. They gave him like the freaking space octopus sucking scars, but I mean, nothing that really was disfiguring or like required mechanical assistance like Darth Vader needed the suit to survive, and it gave him just this undeniably menacing look. Like it was impossible to for anyone around him to empathize with him at all, because he had no face anymore, Darth Vader. And so he was just menacing. And I guess even if he wanted to be Anakin again, he couldn't do that anymore because he had that freaking mask on permanently. He couldn't really take it off without dying. That's part of what made him Darth Vader. Because he was this grotesque, twisted version of his formerly beautiful self, Anakin Skywalker. But Mandark is just a freaking smarmy. He's got his chin out all the fucking time. He's beaten up by a girl. Wearing a tie, like tight up tie with a freaking Dexter's Lab haircut. That kind of looks like she's looking up. That looks like she's looking up enough for me to be like, I'm more or less done with that. We're at that phase of the rough black and white version of the comic book. Certain parts of it are really going to shine, I think. Missing the Amish style Ewok fight. What's her face with the orange blades is fighting 3 dudes with blue blades, and she just got her hand taken. Her mechanical hand. Sometimes I think I've thought enough about this bus where I'm not going to be, like, stumped by it anymore. Because, like, this looks pretty good. I think it's going to look pretty good anyway. She's rallying. She's got... But those guys just need to pull out their guns and shoot the sword lady. Because she's losing to them in a sword fight. So what is it that make... Like, is she some sort of Jedi or no? Are the weapons... I know she said something about they're powered by my hatred. You know, for those Nazi bastards or whatever. So there's some sort of emotional connection to getting them to light up orange the way that they do. Yeah, so we're getting... Is this shot on the same location as the freaking Lord of the Rings? It really does look like the same hill as the horse people here that they're fighting. And I did hear that New Zealand, some of it is just like a movie set. How many years did it take them to make Lord of the Rings? Beard enemy is putting up a fight and choking a young Nazi youth boy. A young blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy. And then she, like, pulled the blade in and used the little dagger that he had on him to, like, slit his throat. And the trouble is, I don't feel any, like, real tension. Okay, so you could be like, Will, you were drawing a bus exploding while you were watching this. You didn't give the actress any time to like draw you in. You weren't really paying attention to her plot line. Who knows if they ever explained why the blue sword people exist, or if she could withstand heavy blaster fire with her sword. Because I just remember her using it on the spider person and these guys. And like in Equilibrium, right? One of the final fight scenes in a movie that focused mostly on guns, and they had a entire martial art dedicated to guns, centered around guns, and how to dodge while shooting a gun, and how to predict enemy attack patterns, so that you can be as effective as possible with each shot, and so you just hyper efficiently take on groups of dudes, right? And single opponents don't really have a chance unless they too have like super specialized training. And we buy that as an audience when we're watching Equilibrium. Because Equilibrium is friggin' amazing. But at the end of the movie, freaking, they bust out the katanas for some reason. Like, it's part of their ceremonial, like, garb, because he's about to talk to, like, the president of the dystopia. And he's been siding with people who read books. Christian Bale had. I'm talking about Equilibrium, obviously. And their final duel is with swords, and he's holding it in like a reverse grip style. So it's extra badass, but low on the realistic side, because you would want to keep the point of your sword between you and your opponent. Just basic, like one of the very basic things. If you're holding it like reverse grip, you better be able to back that up. Because I feel like it would take a lot more training to be effective in that way. Anywho. We have guns. They had guns. But it was also super close combat already, like situationally. I would love swords to make sense, but it has to be wielded by the right person, and it needs to be significant. You can't just have a random person with a cool weapon who, like in this case, is a third stringer, story-wise. Because it's almost kind of like a fighting game movie. Like, think about Mortal Kombat. You have everyone has their own backstory, but they all have special powers and skill sets. This is missing the whole tournament aspect of it, obviously, but this is the battle of the Amish paradise. I'm kind of just following my heart on this part, drawing the explosion of energy that kicks Silver off the bus. Just blast him backwards. Gotta make sure I'm watching this Rebel Moon so I can give it a good review here. So, the Child of Fire is now made her way onto like the main Nazi ship, and she's looking at the silver god lady, the metal god lady that has the tubes going in her mouth, who opens the space vagina portals for them to zip around the universe. So it's like their pornographic DOIN intergalactic travel monster thing. Who's like this slave with tubes going in her mouth, like and like out the back of her head, like it looks like an explosion, and she cries. And they force her to cry tears that look like galaxies are inside of her tears. And what does it mean? Who knows? It's provocative. It gets people going. Alright, if that guy is getting thrown by that bus, he would be like that big, I think, is reasonable. That big's good. hell am I watching? The metal lady is forgiving her. I gotta rewind. Alright. So the Child of Fire is pushing buttons on the metal lady. And it looks like she's gonna free her. She's waking her up from the stupor that the Nazis had her asleep. So now she's crying her galaxies as the Child of Fire feels her pain. Like she can, I guess she's very empathetic, the Child of Fire. And so the lady wakes up, pulls herself free, big metal lady, and then she's gonna start talking. Was it a hallucination? Because now, so she was talking to her, but she comes to and she's still got the wires in her mouth. But the Child of Fire senses that someone is right behind her. She shoots that man. Falls into the pits of the dudes who were shoveling bones into the furnaces to power this opiate that was keeping the big metal lady under control. And so now the lower level Nazis are alerting the higher ups to the Child of Fire's whereabouts. The play-by-play for part 2 of the Rebel Moon. Where Mandoc knows exactly who that woman is who infiltrated the boiler room. Jesus Christ, this fucking movie. They're still going on about the grain, dude. It's like Zach Snyder watched Game of Thrones and was like, you know what they did right is they worried about the starving citizens. They never lost sight of the starving citizens in Game of Thrones. It was one of the few really, I mean, there were a lot of really good decisions, especially early on, but it's one of the ones that you see nowadays where they overemphasize the economic impacts and stuff like that instead of sticking to the revenge drama and stuff. I feel like this is a good place to stop it. Stop the thing. It's starting to come out, I think. I'm becoming more satisfied. What I'm making. I really like the way this page is coming together. Because you got everyone on the bus is distracted by Silver, who's descended and is flying around the outside of the bus. George ain't moving and has a little awkward interaction here with Hayden. And then Silver's like, alright, everybody, you know, just hang out, new bus is coming. And he's like, sir, get off this bus, because he's already established in a previous page, he's going to take this bus to the desert so that he can strip it down and find this drone that sabotaged the lab, because this is where it is. And he finds the robot. The robot who he cannot just grab with his power, because the robot has a little bit of that element that allows his powers to work. So he takes the bus up into the air instead, because he's like, I need to just go ahead and try to get us away from people. And then the explosion, he's gonna crush the bus around this thing after he's thrown from it. I really like the way these abs turned out. Sometimes I draw things and I'm reminded that I got it, man. I feel like I got it. And those abs, not the legs and stuff like that, because those are just sort of adequate. Most of my artwork is just sort of adequate. But the way those abs came out, it's going to be really, it's going to look really good. Well, thanks for my 0 viewers once again. You'll be able to see this video on demand through my channel if you check out live streams. Please like and subscribe, ring bell for notifications, and then you can send me little messages while I ramble here on